Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
I'm Grenchler, and with me as always is the incomparable.
Wooper. You made the incomparable joke last time too.
The incorrigible.
Oh wow. Making me sound like a real villain.
Yeah?
I think that's what incorrigible means, like I'm some kind of tool who's always behaving badly.
I honestly don't know what the word means.
Okay. It was a good word though.
Yeah, it is a good word. It's a fun word. This is episode 7 of the A.N.I.M.E podcast, which you should know what it stands for by now, and if not, it stands for something.
It does stand for something.
So this week we did episodes 7 and 8 of Girls' Last Tour. We did episodes 9 and 10 of Space Dandy. We did 13 and 14 of Evangelion.
So far, so good.
We did 9 of Mahoutsukai no Yome. We did 9 of Children of the Whales. And we did episode 7 of Hellsing Ultimate.
Perfect score.
Hey, I watched all the right stuff this week. Woo!
And you also had some pretty good Japanese on Mahoutsukai no Yome.
Thanks.
Which one should we start with?
Well, last time we started with Hellsing, so let's start with a currently airing show this time. Let's do Mahoutsukai no Yome, actually. It's the one I watched most recently.
Okay. It's also the one we did last in the previous episode of the podcast.
Okay.
So we might as well talk about it. I mean, at the very end of the episode, which I guess we can talk about first, they're summoned back to... I mean, you probably knew I was going to bring this up.
Yeah, of course
They're going to go back to the Dragon Land. So I'm ecstatic about that because that was my favorite episode. And I haven't been digging the show very much recently. So they are going back there, and that's cool.
Now you've got something to look forward to, at the very least.
I guess, yeah. Man, this show's 24 episodes.
Yeah?
It's not just 12, so we're not even halfway through. And when we decide what shows we want to pick up for the winter season, did you just change the... Okay, never mind.
Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry.
When we decide what shows we want to pick up for the winter season, we might not do that one. You know, it's not a given that it'll carry over. We'll just have to see how strong the new crop of shows is. So, yeah, we're going to see the dragons again soon. But as for this episode...
Yep, we got snake arm skeleton Ainsworth.
Yeah.
Who's like recovering from
his previous transformation, and probably injuries from when he was fighting the guy.
I mean, it didn't really look like he ever got injured. He was kind of just chomping away. Didn't look like he ever got hit back.
Well, something's wrong with him because he's staying cooped up in his room. Like, he can't change back.
Right.
And he doesn't want his waifu to see him.
No.
I mean, that's his motivation, right, for staying in his room, don't you think, is that he's ashamed and he doesn't want Chusei to see him?
He doesn't like the way he looks. He's self-conscious, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, despite the fact that he's not human.
No, he's not.
So he wouldn't necessarily have to be self-conscious. Like, that's not a prerequisite, I guess. But he is. And that's fine, man. We don't judge here on Anime Podcast.
Nope. We don't judge.
I mean, I judge people all the time for, their taste in cartoons, and
right.
Despite the big discussion that we had last week about whether good taste is
subjective or relative.
Yeah, and whether it even exists. Did you notice the head pat? Remember we talked last week about head pats?
Yeah.
How everyone's patting Chisei's head. Did you notice someone did that again this week?
I think so. The what is it? The other mage that they went to earlier, who made her the ring.
Yeah, the craftswoman.
Right.
Angelica is her name.
Okay.
And yes, she patted her head. This show just loves patting Chisei's head.
Maybe they're just trying to do it to demean her, or to further influence that she's a child. Maybe subconsciously.
I see what you're saying. So they're having all the characters pat her head to show that she's not...
No one views her as an adult.
Okay.
Everybody views her still as a child or something fragile that needs to be gently patted rather than bear hug.
Right.
Or maybe I'm reading way too much into it.
I didn't really think about that. I mean, I guess that's possible. Angelica was definitely handling her with kid gloves in this episode. And one thing that struck me as odd was, they go on the shopping trip together because Chisa gets kicked out of the house by the maid.
Silver.
Yeah, and she's given some money. So, and she meets up with Angelica just by chance, I think, and they go on a shopping trip or whatever.
Let's go get some stuff, some food.
Yeah, and Angelica's giving her advice. So at one point she says to her, you need to learn to rely on people more. And then like a minute later she says, don't rely on other people's handouts. Did you notice that?
Yes, I thought that was so confusing. I was like, what's going on here? Is it Bizarro Land?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Angelica is distrustful of Elias or Ainsworth or whatever his name is. And so that's why she said, like, don't rely on other people's handouts, is because she doesn't want Chisei to be too dependent on him. But it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you're like, oh, you need to open up to people and take advantage of other people's kindness more.
But don't expect any handouts.
But not from this guy.
He's a bad egg. Just no.
I mean, he's definitely. If I were her, I'd probably be saying the same thing. Maybe not the first part, but definitely the don't trust Ainsworth part.
Yeah,
because he's like some freaky beast who bought her at an auction and considers her like
property / wife.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Well, a long time ago, I mean, we can assume that this show is probably taking place relatively close to modern day.
There's cell phones.
Right. So this show is
modern day.
Taking place in modern day. And Ainsworth is obviously hundreds of years old.
Yeah, I think we know that for sure.
And the way that women in society were viewed a long time ago, several hundred years, they were considered property. Literally.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But this show is, like you said, set in the modern day. So
right, but his mentality would be much older because he's older.
Right, I see. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, just because that's the case, and just because you can make that logical connection. Well, it's not so for me. It's not so much about whether it's okay or not. I mean, we'll get in with one of the shows we're going to talk about later. We'll get into, art being like morally acceptable versus.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But it doesn't bother me so much that he. Like it's a fact of who he is, I guess, that he sees her that way, and it's not whether it's okay. It's just like, is it interesting to me? Is it entertaining? The dynamic that they have going on, like, does it make the show better? Does it contribute to the story? Is it fun to watch? Because I'm watching anime
for fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this podcast makes it a little more rigid.
Yeah, but it's something you generally want to watch. When you hear about a good show, you want to watch that for fun, for entertainment.
Right.
Rather than having to struggle to find a reason to watch something.
Yeah, and I've kind of been feeling that way the last few episodes of this show. Like, I wouldn't say it's really a struggle to watch it, but I'm not getting a lot from it.
Okay.
In particular, I keep like the way that Chisei's character is being treated by the script, is like a lot of stuff about her reactions to things that ought to be foreign or like fearsome. She just is not afraid. Like when she goes into Elias's room and he like pins her against the door or the floor or however they were oriented.
Right.
And she thinks to herself, "Oh, I must not be afraid because I'm cursed too." Like, what?
Well, maybe she's a children of the whale.
A child of the whale?
Child of the whale.
Oh,
yeah.
And she has no emotions?
She has no emotions.
I actually made that connect. Those were the first two shows I watched in preparation for this episode, and I made a connection between the two of them. Like, Chisei is emotionless at times, or seems that way. The show makes her out to be kind of stoic.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, very stout, very...
Yeah, she, like... He's attacking her. And she just does not really react at all.
Well, she knows that he's not going to kill her.
How would you know that if
he paid £5 million to keep her?
I don't think
that's a huge loss of money.
Yeah, it would definitely be a big financial blow to kill your
slave baggy.
Yeah, your slave and wife and source of magical, power or whatever. But I doubt she's thinking to herself, "Oh yeah, this frightening, like demonic looking monster is not going to kill me because he paid a lot of money for me." I don't.
That's not the first thing that goes through your mind in a fight or flight response sort of situation.
Right, exactly. I'm glad you used that phrase because she's being put in these fight or flight situations and she's not reacting as though that's what's going on. And it kind of distracts me and takes me out of the story.
I can see that.
How are you feeling about the episode? How about the vampire story?
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah, how I mean, you know what, like vampires and succubi and stuff like that in other sorts of
she seemed to be more of they didn't refer to her as a succubus, but she seemed to be more of a succubus than a vampire.
Maybe in their world, vampires and succubuses are the same thing.
Is it succubi?
Succubi is technically plural.
Okay.
There's succubus, and then there's incubus, which is the male version.
Oh,
fun fact.
I think I knew that, but I hadn't thought about it in quite some time.
Yeah.
So you kind of like that part of the story?
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
How there was like a momentary lapse in the barrier that separates the two worlds.
Right.
And there must have been some sort of like magical influence that allowed him to be able to see her and vice versa.
I mean, I think we know what the magical influence was.
Well, the first time. Because remember, she says that a long time ago,
she thought that he could see her.
Yeah, and he wrote a story about that connection in the garden, which was him seeing her.
Right. So what was to me, it was really clear what the influence was the second time. It was Chise's presence.
Right, yeah, that's obvious. We just don't know what it was the first time.
Right. Well, it was true love, I guess.
True love.
Marriage. We had the same thought.
Yeah.
To me, that scene was like there was a clear parallel between their story and Chise and Elias's story, or at least the show wanted us to draw.
I did not get that at
connection. Well, it's the same. It's kind of the same because, Chise is like they're drawn to one another, but they can't properly
explain why.
Yeah, they can't like express their love. I guess I don't know, dude. I mean, it's kind of the same situation. Like, Chise she's just a human being. I mean, she is a slave beggar, but she's not from Elias's world. And
or
so
whatever world that is.
Right. Maybe realm is a better term. And so she can't, she like wants to be close to him. Like in this episode, she's frustrated by the fact that he won't tell her anything. That makes her more scared, she says, than his like
grotesque
super scary.
form.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's more upset and afraid that he won't communicate with her about like what's going on with him. So obviously she does care a lot about him, and I don't really know how I feel about that, but
the dog talks about like
the dog. We didn't talk about the Grim at all.
You need love in your life, man.
Yeah,
you gotta love. Otherwise, what's the purpose of living? Man, you want to try some of this organic gasoline?
What?
It's a reference to Cars. Fillmore. He's a VW bus. He's supposed to be a stoner.
Okay.
So, and he like makes organic gasoline. I don't know. Anyways, Elmo.
Yeah, but I understand what you were going for when you were using that tone of voice when describing the dog's speech, because it was pretty like, and the dog and other characters too, I think, keep sighing whenever Chise like won't go into Elias's room, or like she's not open with her feelings or whatever. Dude, in anime, every time, without fail, there's always someone who's giving romantic advice, and they say, "Oh, just be more open with your feelings." It's universal. I guess that's something that Japanese people say a lot.
Maybe it's some part of Japanese culture.
Well, we've talked about this before. There's a lot of emotional repression involved in Japanese society. Like, you're not supposed to stand out or or anything like that. If you have a problem with somebody or something, you're not supposed to express it. But so be more open with your be more honest with your feelings might be like a good piece of advice from one Japanese person to another. But I don't know. I guess I just get tired of it being trotted out in every single anime that I watch.
That's fair.
We've been talking about this show for a while.
Yeah, we have.
You want to do another one?
Sure. Let's do an oldie but goodie.
Which one?
Let's do the Dandy.
Space Dandy? Okay.
Yeah.
I loved both of these episodes. I love this show. I love being alive because this show exists.
I didn't like super dig episode 9. I wasn't like feeling like excited or anything like that. Okay. I thought it was.
You thought it was?
I don't know. It felt like they were trying to be weird.
Okay, so talk to us about episode 9 a little bit. What goes on in it? Episode
9, looking for another alien, got to register something.
Right.
Go to a planet. Supposedly there's an alien that no one's ever been able to bring in.
Right. So what's the deal with the planet?
So the planet is controlled entirely by hyper-intelligent plants.
Well, not entirely, right? Because there's the northern half of the planet and the southern half.
Right. Well, they're all intelligent and they all have language.
That's true.
So I would consider any plant that can speak or has sentience to be hyper-intelligent. Because generally speaking, all they do is photosynthesis.
Right. Nice SpongeBob reference.
Thank you. So Dandy Meow gets separated. Meow is on the southern half.
Yeah, he doesn't have a big role in the episode.
No, he just gets fattened up, and then the plants decide that they're going to eat him because that's the most delicious source of food they can find.
Right.
And Dandy is with a scientist who like experiments on different types of plants.
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were a plant.
And so then they go to the North Pole to try to get the Code D.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Code D alien. Or yeah. They call it, the plant dude calls it something else.
It's a meteorite.
Right. Yeah, it turns out it's just a big rock from space.
Right. Which causes all the plants to evolve.
And grow rapidly.
Right.
In size.
I think that the little speech that Dr. H, the scientist, gives as he regresses and turns back into a plant about viewing his de-evolution not as an ending but as a new beginning. And he's kind of optimistic about the loss of their sentience and their like technology and advancement.
Just to go back to a simpler way of life.
Yeah, I kind of think that whole episode is a metaphor for rapid human development, specifically like the Industrial Revolution and how that kind of pushed us hundreds of years into the future over the course of, like decades.
Right. Well, the Industrial Revolution was in the 1800s, late 1800s. So, and that lasted until essentially the internet was invented, and that was the next boom, the dot-com boom, or the dot-com era.
You think the Industrial Revolution went all the way up until the late 1900s?
Yes, because the next like marked period of history of like major technological advancement was during the age of the internet and the semiconductor.
I would have thought that you would like cut off the Industrial Revolution around when cars started to be mass produced. Like
no, because I think that was still part of the revolution. I think it was still going on. I think it was a large period of history.
Okay. All right.
Either way,
that's what I think the episode was about. Like, it's okay not to be pushing the envelope in terms of like scientific advancement and technological advancement. It's okay just to enjoy life as it is and as it was, and to be content with that. That's what I got from the episode.
That's
in addition to how freaking cool it looked, dude. I mean, I kind of anticipated you not really digging it too much, because you have a real thing about like characters looking a certain way.
No, that didn't bother me. Like the way that everything was animated, how it looked just like a little like simpler shapes, but they were more fluid.
Yeah.
I thought that was, it was fine. It was cool. I loved the design of the planet. It had they're divided into 18 kingdoms. 17 of them were on the north half, and 1 was on the bottom.
Yeah.
And they were all like these different colors and everything. I thought that was cool.
So what about it was not that interesting to you, or?
Maybe it was just I wasn't like focusing heavily enough on the dialogue because I'm hearing it rather than reading it. And my listening comprehension might not be as good as my reading comprehension, so I wasn't thinking about it as hard.
I mean, you remembered that there were 18 different kingdoms.
I remember random stupid facts that don't matter.
I mean, that matters.
That is the entirety of my knowledge.
Not just about anime, but about everything.
Basically.
I feel the same way sometimes. That's just because I played way too much Pokemon as a kid, so now like 10% of my brain is filled up with Pokemon facts.
Yeah.
But I really like this episode because of how experimental it is, and because like it's very Dr. Seussian, the visuals.
Yeah, that's a good way to...
Did you pick up on that?
I didn't pick that up, but that's a good way to describe them. They're very colorful, large shapes.
Yeah.
And kind of like off-the-wall designs. Like Dr. Seuss had weird-looking trees and weird-looking machines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we had there was like a governmental power structure and power struggle with the plants.
Yep.
Because we had that massive blob, and it was like, you can't go up there. You were banned from the research team.
Right.
For
there was a whole little backstory with a bunch of different plants, like the plant in the entertainment industry or whatever, who comes to rescue them from imprisonment. Right? Didn't they get locked up?
Yeah.
When they on their first attempt to get to the North Pole.
They did.
It was cool. I like that episode. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, I like to like enjoy an episode. I don't when I watch any form of media, it's for me to be entertained, not for me to have like a thought experiment. Maybe that's just because I'm a simpleton. That's highly possible.
I mean, you kind of sounded like a simpleton right there, a little bit, but you know, I can respect that. Space Dandy is definitely the kind of show that you can just enjoy. Not every episode, I guess, because this one was a little less accessible, maybe. Episode 9, I mean. But we can talk about episode 10, which was...
Episode 10 was the... we got to go back to Meow's home planet, Beetlejuice.
Yep.
Beetlejuice.
And
they had the ray of... like
Pionium.
Pionium, which is the digit pi. Anyways,
it was a Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it was. It was a Groundhog Day episode.
Yeah,
but with a way to get out of it that was completely unknown.
It was. Well, they figured it out. It was the calendar.
Right. It was the calendar had been struck, and the day couldn't be torn off, so they were stuck in it.
Exactly. I thought that was. I mean, even though it doesn't make logical sense that being unable to change the day of it, like, you know, it doesn't make sense.
Of course not.
That's the way it would work. But it's also rather creative. And it's really funny because then you get the scene where they're all standing in a circle around the calendar, like shooting it with
you know what that scene's
rocket
from,
launchers.
Right?
What it's a reference to, you mean?
Yeah.
It's probably multiple things. Which one do you have in mind?
Office Space.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember much about Office Space.
In Office Space, there's a scene where they all take a fax machine outside and they just start beating it with different objects. Okay. And it was clearly a reference to that.
Okay. Cool. Space Dandy was made with a Western audience in mind, I think, because of the way it aired and Cartoon Network's like hand in it from the start, their interest in it like up front. So it makes sense that there would be, you know, some kind of reference like that. In addition to everything else that the show has going on. Oh, some of the episodes in season 2 are like complete send-ups of American culture.
That's cool. But as for the rest of the episode where you had I love the narrator, how the narrator breaks the fourth wall and has to explain to the cast what's going on.
Yeah. What are they thinking is going on before he like corrects them? They get superpowers, right? They thought,
we got superpowers. No, you're stuck in a time loop.
I do really think that this episode is. I mean, there's a lot of media where a character comes home after a while and they see their family and like their old flame. You know, Meow saw Katie,
right,
who's gay, right? That slayed me. I completely forgot about that. So when I saw it again, and she's like in love with the
person she's working for,
her boss,
the fat cat, as it would be, quote unquote.
Fat cat, huh?
Yeah, business owner, rich person.
Well, I think that the specific business that she was employed at, that Katie was employed at, it was like a hostess club. And Japan is kind of famous for those, like unmarried or lonely or whatever salarymen after work will go to a hostess club, and there's just it's like a bar. It's more like a lounge, I guess. And there are women there who will just like sit with you and drink with you and talk with you. And of course, I mean, you can imagine that some guys are trying to get them to come home with them.
Well, of course. That's only natural.
Yeah, but it's like a service that is offered. Just you can go to this place, and there will be good-looking women who will drink with you and have a conversation with you. That's the vibe that I got from the club where they spent all their time. They called it a bar in the English dub, but pretty sure it's a hostess club.
Well, there wouldn't be a direct like translation for that.
Yeah, they couldn't
in English.
They couldn't use that in like a localization.
No, bar works well enough.
What else about this episode? Oh, did you catch at the end? Meow asks his dad, because his dad's a metal worker, and that's like one of the reasons Meow left home, or maybe the reason, is that he wanted to go out and live his own life. He didn't want to inherit the family business. So, but he asks his dad, "What is that part that you manufacture? What is it for?"
And he has no idea.
Did you catch? I think it was implied that the screw that he made was used in the Gogol Empire ship, which blew up and made the ray of Pionium shoot towards their home planet and make the calendar stuck.
Really?
Because remember when he's explaining? Oh, I don't know what it's for. For a split second, the screen flashes.
It does?
Yeah. Oh, okay. After we're done with the podcast, I want to go back and show you, because I'm pretty sure the implication is like it's a closed time loop, and his dad made not a closed time loop. I'm sorry. I guess it just happened once and they escaped it. But his dad makes the screw that caused the Pionium ray to freeze time on their planet. So it was like inevitable that would happen.
Huh.
Well, I might be right.
You're going to have to show me that, because if you're talking about him holding up like the bent screw at the end, that was the one Meow made.
I know that was the one Meow made, but in the background, I mean, it doesn't make too much sense for us to talk about it. People can't see.
Yeah, because we have no idea.
We could put the image up on screen, but I'm not doing that.
There it is.
Are you going to edit it in?
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool. I really liked all the characters in this one. I liked that his dad was gruff, but like kind of friendly. And his mom was like a cheerful, overworked housewife, and he had like a bratty sister and
a bunch of kids.
Yeah, a bunch of younger brothers who are like all pulling on QT's arms and stuff. This is just a nice feel to the episode. Any other thoughts about it?
Not particularly.
Not the deepest of episodes.
No, but I got a lot of smiles out of it.
Yeah, same.
It was very funny.
I definitely smiled a lot too. That's a good way of putting it. All right, time for another currently airing one.
Let's do the Where Whalers on the Moon.
Whalers on the Sand.
Whalers on the Sand.
Children of the Whales.
Sure.
Okay. This episode was not good.
I was so confused. I don't know what was going on.
Now you're sounding like me. Remember, that was my main complaint with the show, like from episode 3 onward.
I mean, this was way out there, though.
Yeah, it definitely was. This episode opened with the chorus going like, oh, like a freaky chorus, and credits and like the title screen. They skipped the theme song.
Yeah, we didn't get a theme song this time.
This was supposed to be like a climactic moment in the show. This was episode 9, right?
Yes.
So this marks like the 3/4 mark.
Right.
So we're almost done. This is the climax.
Yeah, we got the destruction of the noose. We got the daemons of Helena.
Yeah.
We got some more interesting fan subs. I can't remember what they said, but there was something specifically.
Okay, I didn't pick up on anything this time.
There was something that was like obviously just thrown in because they didn't care.
Dude, what?
Oh, he called him like a beanstalk asshole or something.
Yeah, a beanpole.
Beanpole.
Yeah, maybe it was something like that. I remember that. I don't think that was the worst translation. I don't know what translates to beanpole, but it was probably like skinny. You know.
I guess I have no idea. I just burst out laughing. I was like, "What?"
I mean, there's plenty of reasons to burst out laughing while watching this show, so might as well make that one of them.
Might as well.
We got to hurry up, man. We've been talking for 30 minutes and we've only done 2 shows.
Yeah.
All right. Children of the Whales. So Oni gets BTFO.
Yeah.
By what's his face?
Yeah. Stabbed in the leg.
But then his friend
stabbed again and slashed across the chest, and then he's like, "I'm just gonna go beast mode."
Yeah. Then his friend steps in to defend him, and then his friend dies.
Right.
So that gives the writers an excuse to make Oni like go Super Saiyan.
He got the next piece of his Sharingan.
Yeah.
Got a real Sasuke vibe from him.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he just kills everybody.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He just like those little pieces of, because you're only supposed to be able to manipulate like objects with your thymia.
Yeah, and he uses it as a
his
physical.
His literally just slices through people.
Right. He used it as like saw blades that were just flying around.
Yeah, and just puts X's all over everybody, and they just all die.
Yep.
And then he kills the noose, sort of.
No,
more like detaches it.
That doesn't happen right away, right? Like first there's that 5-minute scene where he's like on the ocean or whatever, and he's watching his friend go like die. You know, like his soul departs and it sinks under the because he's on the surface of the water, which is reflecting the sky, and it's like all in his mind. And
yeah,
you know, someone out there or thousands of people watching the show found that like super emotional and were probably in tears as that was going on.
And I was just, why do we have so much fanfare over a character who's had less than 5 minutes of screen time dying? And the other character who's crying about it has had less than 10 minutes of screen time.
I don't think that's fair to either of them. We did know this wasn't like the twins who showed up in the last episode out of nowhere.
Yeah,
for the first time.
I mean, yeah, we both knew them, but the focus of the show is not, obviously now it's kind of about him and like his super god abilities.
Who, Oni? Or?
Yeah, the show's focus has shifted from Chakro to Oni.
Well, I don't think that's true because Chakro gets like he has that conversation with the news at the end.
Yeah,
but
he does.
We'll get to that. I just. All I mean by bringing up the fact that people were emotional about this is like you just can't explain why people like some stuff and why other people don't.
There was
this episode didn't do anything.
There was like a 20-second shot of the boat just moving and slowly sinking further into the sand.
Yeah, I mean I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I think that if I had been allowed to care about that character enough, that would have been fine. Just him slowly disappearing. That would have been, you know, appropriate. But I mean, the show just didn't put in the work to begin with, so whatever.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, it was meh.
Yeah.
So how about Chakro talking to what's his name? Olivines or something?
I don't know.
He's like the little kid who represents the news,
right.
The same way that what's her face does.
Yeah,
Neri or Emma or whatever.
Dancing girl.
Right, sandbending.
There's skeletonized fish surfing.
Right,
child that still has had no consequence, by the way.
Yeah, her whole dance summoning those glowing arms and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
which we see those arms again.
Yeah, we do in much more ornate form. When that happens when somebody slices the noose, right? And all the stuff comes out of it. Yeah. Is that before or after Chakro has the big conversation with it?
Before.
Okay.
Because it blows up, and then they're like suspended in time, basically. Have the conversation with it, and then they're back. They're still on the mud whale they're trying to destroy. Yeah, the Skyless.
But they get off that. That's how the episode ends, as far as I remember.
Yeah, they're on just like a piece of driftwood, and we've only got 5 people left. How many did you leave with? 14.
And Suo sees them, and and they're all waving and like, oh, we made it. So let's talk about Chakaro's conversation with the news real quick.
The Noose wants to... It's like, I'll give you guys the next level of your Noose's abilities.
Right. What was that thing called? I wrote it down. It was called a kokolo, and it looked like some kind of fruit or like a giant seed or something.
I thought it looked kind of like a seashell.
Okay.
Or like a worm spiraled together.
Right. It was
or some
definitely...
fruit by the foot.
Dude, if only it were fruit by the foot, I'd be way more invested in this show. I want some fruit by the foot. No, I don't. I don't know what I'm saying. This show is not good. So the deal with the kokolo or whatever is that if they bring it to Emma, who he knows about, so I guess all the newses are connected. Then yeah, their mud whale Felena will level up or something.
Gain the next ability of its powers.
Do you remember in the last episode when the guy was like, "I bet you all don't even know why you die prematurely, why you age so quickly."
Right.
That wasn't addressed in this episode, right?
No.
I wonder if they'll ever talk about it.
Maybe it has to do with like the level of power of the noose.
Okay, so like
maybe the noose leveling up will increase the lifespan of the marked.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe the way Thymia works is that it all like comes from the noose. So if it's only so powerful, then people are only able to use it for so long before it like takes a toll on their body.
Right, and just kills them.
Yeah. So I made a note here. Oh, dude, all the clown soldiers, when they see the Skylos sinking into the sand,
they just commit suicide.
Yeah, they commit mass suicide by walking off a cliff and into the sand ocean. Now that made me laugh out loud. You know the show has done something wrong when you're laughing at
mass suicide.
Yeah.
Everybody take the red pill. Here we go.
Oh man, it was just it was just so bad. Man, this episode of the podcast is a little, I feel like we're both a little tired and we're both kind of whacked out, and there were a bunch of not so hot episodes this time around.
Yeah.
What else is going on? I made a note here that says not enough attention was paid to Chakaro's role as an archivist, like at the start of the show, for his little speech at the end to really matter too much to me.
Because they say that he's an archivist. He writes one thing down in the first episode and never writes anything again.
I mean, you can probably infer that he does
it in his free time.
Right. Well, it's his work. So I guess it wouldn't really be his free time, right? It would be something that he does on a regular basis. But yeah, you only really see him do it once, maybe twice. It's not like an integral part of his life, or his character. So when he talks about, you know, when Olivines, the representative for the Skylos Noose. What is with all the terms in this show? When Olivines is talking to him and is like, I want to see how you make use of this power, archivist.
Right.
Like, it's supposed to be really significant that the archivist for the Mud Whale, the man who records their history, is the one having this conversation. But it like, who cares? He's just some kid who yells a lot when his friends get shot in the leg. I don't know, dude. Whatever. Any thoughts about the show?
Yeah, there was something that really stood out to me.
Okay, good.
The scenes in the the Skylos with all of the like the flowers and the weird eyes and the hands and everything.
The glowing stuff that
just
came out
looked amazing. Like, it was incredible. I think that's some of the best stuff I've ever seen.
What are you talking about, dude?
I
know what you're talking about, but the best stuff you've ever seen?
I thought it was
in a TV show, or
I mean in a lot of forms of media. I thought the art direction looked super good. I loved how they like overused depth of field like to a stronger degree than a lot of anime do. You know, they're trying to make it look very filmic, very cinematic.
Weren't you like really complaining about that just last week?
I was complaining about chromatic aberration. I said it right this time.
Nice pronunciation.
Which is a term, or which is as I went into on that rant, films went away from it because it looks gross.
But you think they did a better job
in those scenes? There was none. It was just a strong depth of field, and I think strong depth of fields really set apart like amateur filmmaking to professional. And to me, it just catches my eye, and I think it looks great. So
Okay.
I thought those scenes looked fantastic.
Cool. I didn't really notice anything about them other than computers were heavily involved in the making of this episode.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it was cool. The effect was cool. They were glowing and flowers were all over the place,
waving, and it looked alive.
I didn't really think they looked alive.
I thought it was cool. That's just me though.
Okay. Yeah, you seem to like this show a little more than I do, which is good.
I mean, I was still completely just thrown for a massive loop almost this entire episode.
Yeah, I can respect the fact that you like the glowing stuff. That's cool. But it didn't stick out to me, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm glad you made a note of it, so we had something positive to say about this episode.
Hey,
that's good. All right, let's do another show. Let's do another anime.
Let's do an anime, an actual anime.
All right,
Hellsing or Eva?
Let's do Eva because let's just do Eva for no reason.
Okay.
2 episodes this time, 13 and 14, and 14 was half clip show.
Yep. It was, we ran out of money. We got to do something else.
Did you notice at the end of episode 13, I don't know if you watched past the credits or whatever?
No, I don't.
Okay. At the end of episode 13, the preview for the next episode was just a bunch of still images flashing across the screen really quickly. Kind of like in the theme song.
Okay.
You know how there's a whole bunch of really quick still images? It was just that for the preview. So it was obvious that they were running up against a deadline.
It's possible that they were going to miss their deadline if they'd done the whole thing and they had to cut half the episode and put in a clip show.
Yep. I mean, Ava has a very troubled
production history.
Yes, exactly. So I have no doubt that that's the case. But half of it was a clip show.
You do learn some stuff though during, there's dialogue over top of the clip show.
Yeah, they read from essays and journals of Shinji's classmates.
And from official reports as well.
Right. So it kind of gives a different context to all the angel attacks that have happened so far.
As well as it names the angels.
Exactly. Yes.
That's where we get Cube-san or Ramael from.
Yeah. So that was the first half of the episode. The second half.
Well, we're on the 14th episode. We should go back to the 13th.
Okay, let's do
this in order.
Episode 13, I really like episode 13. It's the one with the Magi.
Right. I mean, I'm kind of with you on that. I didn't think it was, it's not the strongest episode I've seen so far.
Okay.
But it was definitely cool, because I had that theory last time that the Magi were behind the internal shutdown.
Right.
I'm pretty sure my theory is completely defunct. But it was an interesting theory anyways.
It was, for sure. I'm enjoying hearing your theories as someone who knows, what the deal is with the show. I'm interested in, when someone's watching something that you really like for the first time, you just want to experience it through them.
Am I the only person that when I'm showing something I really like to someone else, I'm super nervous?
No, I don't.
Sweating.
I don't think you're the only person. What am I trying to say?
I don't think you're the only person who does that.
Not at all. I think that's a universal thing. But it's not like we're watching the episode together. You're watching it at your place. I'm watching it at my place.
Right. But if you're watching something together, recently with my roommate, we watched 2 movies. His favorite movie and then my favorite movie, which is The Italian Job, the 2003 remake. I was super wasted, so I wasn't nervous at all then. I talked half through the movie because that's what I do.
It's your favorite movie and you're talking through it.
Yeah, that's I'm talking about the cars and the actors and all this stuff. I still like the movie. I think it still holds up today.
But
anyways.
you remember being nervous despite the fact that you were drunk?
No, I wasn't. I mean, in general, I am.
Oh, okay,
I don't know why I brought this up at all. Actually,
it's a funny story.
Yeah, I suppose.
All right, so back to Evangelion.
Yeah.
So the Magi are. It's 3 supercomputers who were
the same person.
Yeah, they were built by Ritsuko's mother.
Right. It's like left, right, and center brain.
No, not really. It's she describes at the very end of the episode, they're the three parts of her. Herself as a scientist, herself as a mother, and herself as a woman.
Right. So scientist is right brain is analytical.
I don't remember, dude.
Well, the two hemispheres of the brain, one is creative.
I know they're lateralized.
Yeah. So you have left brain, right brain, and then I assume center brain or hippocampus.
I don't know. I don't remember which part of the brain does what. And
because you see a physical brain in the Magi.
Yes, you do. Yeah. And she inserts like a little pin into it, which is hooked up to, I love how old the tech is. Like
there's like PATA cables going everywhere for anyone who knows what those are.
Yeah. It's so cool how there's like a mishmash of
old new technology.
Yeah. I mean, because this was made in 1995, so they couldn't conceive of smartphones probably.
No, not a chance.
Any of the tech that we've got in 2017. So it is really cool how like her brain is in there, and they're talking about personality transplants, like melding with artificial intelligence and stuff. And Ritsuko, or not Ritsuko, but Misato actually says that's the same technology that's used for the Evas.
Right.
So that's how I guess they operate.
Which is also touched on in episode 14 in the second half.
How's that? Refresh my memory.
Eva 00 goes berserk.
Yes, as it did previously. Remember when it was smashing the window and Gendo was standing there? Mm-hmm. That was when Rei was inside.
Mm-hmm. This time it was Shinji who's inside.
Or wait, was it Rei who was inside, or was it a dummy plug, like with nobody inside?
I don't remember, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, and this time Shinji, they're doing the...
Oh, no, it was Rei who was inside it, because Gendo burned his hands to pull her out of it. Yeah, because it was a flashback. That when 00 went berserk the first time, Gendo was there because he burned his hands on the entry plug to pull Rei out.
Of course, I remember exactly what you're saying, but was that the same thingamajig?
I think so.
Okay. Well, let's not talk too much about old episodes. We got to talk about the new ones.
Anyways, so...
but yes,
she makes a comment.
Who does?
The professor. Ritsuko makes a comment saying that Unit 00 was trying to kill her.
Right. Although Misato theorizes that it was trying to kill Rei, who was standing right at the window.
Right, who was looking at the window.
Right. But Ritsuko says, I know for a fact it was trying to kill me, and we don't know why that is. It's a mystery.
Well, I was linking the two together.
What, the past episode and this one?
Right, because the algorithms or the programs that were designed and used to link the Evas with their pilots was created by her mother.
Right.
So, and the Magi are controlled by essentially her mother's personality. Yeah. So it's possible that some of the code has her personality in it.
Oh, all of it does, I think.
And because the Eva is part sentient, kind of.
Like yeah, it's like part human, kind of.
Right. I think when it goes berserk and it's under its own control, it sees its existence as like terrifying, or it wants to kill itself. It wants to die.
So that's why it's like hitting its head into the...
It's enraged by its creator, and it wants to kill its creator.
I see. So
and it sees the descendant of its creator, and it's like, that's good enough.
I see. Wait, but so your theory is that Evas are part human, and so when they go berserk, they're like relying on that past experience?
Essentially.
Then why does Unit 00, like, how does it know that Ritsuko is the person who helped engineer it?
From all the code and everything that goes through it, because it's also part computer, so it can analyze all that stuff.
Is it part computer? I guess
it's part robot, part human.
Yeah.
It's like a cyborg, basically.
Yeah, it is a cyborg, I think.
So it's able to interpret that data.
Okay.
And if her personality is left in that code that was used to create the Magi, whatever.
The Magi, yeah.
That's and the program that synchronizes the Evas, it's possible it knows who its creator is.
So does that mean that you think that part of Ritsuko's mother is in the Evas?
Possibly.
Okay.
Latent memories in the code. I don't know. Glitch in the matrix.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a human component to the Evas. And yeah, that was something that we learned from both of these episodes. So we're starting to get a better handle on what Evas are. But we have kind of a worse grasp, I think, of what angels are. Because in episode 13, it's revealed that angels can take the form of a computer virus.
Nanomachines.
Yeah, pretty much. Like they infect one of the Evas while it's doing that underwater sync test or whatever.
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't infect the Eva, does it?
Yeah, because you see all the glowing stuff on the arm that gets ripped off.
They're not in the Evas, though, are they? Because remember, they were working on some, like, what looked to be like a remote process. Because the Evas have, they're colored. They've got their armor and stuff like that on. The things they were in looked just like a super jacked human.
Okay. I mean, I think...
Unless it's an Eva with no armor on it. Like, it's just like its bare form. Because there is a physical armor on it.
I need to rewatch that episode now. I'm talking about it. I feel certain that like the arm that you see lying on the floor of that underwater room or whatever was an arm of one of the Evas. And it was getting infected.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was because, remember, they were talking about some other project at the same time. The
Human Instrumentality Project?
There was another name they were using because the Human Instrumentality Project is only really spoken of by Gendo and the little squad he's got.
Seal.
Yeah, thank you, Seal. But there's something else that they're trying to do with, because they have the 3 pilots strip naked and get in their different entry plugs or something like that,
right?
In order to try to reduce the barrier, but they're not in their Evas.
Okay.
Because all 3 of them are lined up in one facility or something.
Right. I'm gonna have to rewatch.
I could have had a fever dream while I was watching this, but I'm pretty sure
you're really into fever dreams, man.
Yeah, fever.
You're into that term.
I find a phrase that I like and I use it way too much, and then I switch to something else. So tune in 3 weeks when I'm saying tripping balls.
Now you have to say it in episode 10. You have to. That should just be the title of episode 10, Tripping Balls.
Well, it might fit with what we're watching. Who knows?
Yeah, if we're still watching Children of the Whales, it definitely will. One thing I really like about episode 13 is that it's the adults who save the day. Because the kids get jettisoned from
they're floating in a pond somewhere.
Yeah. Nerve HQ is at risk of being corrupted, and they have to save the pilots of the Evangelions because they're necessary for the survival of humanity.
They also eject remember how you said they were the Evas?
Yeah.
They were in them. They eject the Evas out.
Yeah, that's true.
So it couldn't have been in them.
Well, I felt like one of their arms got cut off.
We'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, we will.
Because it's worthless talking about it.
We always get confused at one point or another when discussing this show.
It's a lot of shows. It's a lot of information to remember.
So I do like the fact that, the kids aren't involved and the adults handle it. Specifically Ritsuko. This is her first spotlight episode, I think. And it won't be the last. She's a very important character despite seeming like a secondary level,
Well, the show has so much to do with the science and how everything...
Yeah, there was a lot of tech babble.
Techno babble?
Yeah.
Tech jargon?
In these episodes. So... That's something big that we learned is that the Magi are it's someone's brain, the different aspects of someone's personality that are involved in making all the decisions for this new city, this futuristic society. And the same technology was used in the construction of the Evangelions.
It was all pioneered by Ritsuko's mother.
Yes. What else? Episode 14. Yeah, the clip show took up half the episode. Not a lot to talk about there. Although, I kind of enjoyed the recap. I appreciated seeing all the angels again, remembering how they looked and how they were defeated. And the text flashing on screen kind of made things liven things up a little bit.
I just thought the names were cool.
Yeah, the names are cool.
Some more other than Angel 1, 2, 3. Well, we never see 1 or 2.
Yeah,
3,
starts
4.
with 3.
Well, we might see 1 and 2 at a further point in a flashback. Does that ever happen? Don't tell me.
Okay, yeah, I won't tell you.
Don't tell me, but they might show it. I don't know.
Yeah, if you start with with Angel number 3, there are obviously going to be questions about what are 1 and 2, and whether the show answers those or not. I guess you'll be able to find out as we keep watching.
Yeah.
So immediately after the clip show, we got Rey's speech.
Yeah,
do you
and
remember
her like out of body experience.
Yeah, she was talking about like the nature of her existence and who she was as an individual and her relationship with nature and just like questioning what her purpose was and all that stuff. How did you feel about that?
Hit one too many J's, man. You start questioning existence and wanting to go to Taco Bell.
So that was your reaction, was just LOL? That's how you felt about the scene? What was your...
No, I thought because it's the same thing, nearly, happened to Shinji when he tried to sync with Unit 00. And Rey was syncing with Unit 01 after they'd rewritten them.
Right.
Rey is a bit more of a blank slate than Shinji is. So that's why it worked fine with her, and he went nuts.
He went nuts?
No, the Eva went nuts.
Yeah,
It went berserk.
Yeah.
Which may have something to do with the Eva gaining access to information in Shinji's head. Because they link together.
Right.
So it might have learned something and been like, what?
Huh.
Anyways,
I was trying to trick you into saying the word pretentious.
to be like, oh man, they're just trying to force this sort of this vibe on us that they're experimental and they're beyond.
Yeah, well, Rey is saying
like
stuff
that.
like, "Who am I? I am me." She's just throwing out little nuggets of wisdom.
No,
And I kind of think that it's a little pretentious, her speech.
I think the speech comes from somewhere in the show, though. I don't think it just kind of like comes out of nowhere.
I agree.
What we can do. I think it has a lot to do with the rewriting of the personality of the Eva and how they connect with it, because they're different layers of synchronization. She gets to the furthest one, and I think because of the way the Evas operate with, essentially almost melding with their driver,
Right.
that, some of their driver is left in the Eva itself, like in its memory, if it has any.
Okay.
So when Rey has the experience of essentially not just melding, mind-wise with the Eva, but also with a part of Shinji as well,
I see.
that it changes her perspective of what the world is, because she sees it from a new point of view.
Okay. Very good. I agree with most of that, and I especially, there was something that you said at the start, like 45 seconds ago or whatever, that I really appreciated. I can't remember what it was now, but at the same time, I wouldn't blame anyone who thought that it was just pretentious drivel. And this isn't the last time the show is gonna bust out like a montage like that of a character just monologuing about, like, wondering who they really are, wondering if they ought to be piloting an Eva, what the nature of their existence is, what the reason for it is, all of that. So this is like the beginning of a trend. We're not quite to the point where it starts to go full on
Existential crisis.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but we will get there eventually. So this was just like a bit of foreshadowing, I guess.
Okay.
And I do like I like it. I think it, especially knowing what I know about Rey as a character, it makes sense that she would be having these thoughts about herself and trying to reckon with like who she is or what she is. So it's, I enjoy it. I enjoyed her little journey into herself, but
You just gotta experience yourself, man.
if anyone said to me episode 14 of Evangelion is pretentious, I would say, yeah, you got me. It pretty much is.
I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah. No, I agree with the way that you analyzed it. All right, what else?
We also got to see the spear.
Yes, the Lance of Longinus, I think is how you say it.
As well as the Dead Sea Scrolls are mentioned.
Are they?
Yes.
Okay.
In this episode.
Yeah, this may be the first time they were mentioned. I think I alluded to them in an earlier podcast
last episode, actually.
Yeah, so the Dead Sea Scrolls are mentioned, and there's a lot of talk about like things proceeding according to Seal's script or Gendo's script. So there is a plan, like
there's like a prophecy.
Yes, essentially all these angel attacks. Gendo is not surprised by any of this,
except for the 11th. Yeah, the 11th attack was the virus,
right?
And that was ahead of schedule.
Was it?
Yes.
I thought it was just the unit, Ray's unit going berserk that was outside of Gendo's predictions.
I think it was 11 was too early.
Okay.
I don't think.
Yeah, you know what? I think I do remember that.
I don't think
one of the angels has come too early, and that's why. Well, Seal was concerned because one of the angels came too early, and Gendo was like, "Oh no, that didn't happen. Check the logs of the Magi. There was no hack. There was no intrusion."
Right.
So they know.
They know what happened, but they know Gendo is like trying to fall on the sword for them.
He's not falling on the sword. He's refusing to do that. He's saying, "No, it didn't happen. Look it up."
Right, but if he's saying that and then someone can prove that it did happen, it's entirely on him.
But they can't prove that it happened because the Magi like run the whole country or the whole city,
and they don't know it happened.
Yeah, well, it's been maybe he erased it. I mean, I'm sure that he did.
If he has a way to.
Yeah. Okay, I think we covered a lot. This is pretty good.
I actually just had another theory then.
Oh, lay it on me.
If everything's prophesized and they know when everything's going to happen,
yeah,
that angel attack that hit with the power outage, pretty sure Seal probably caused it then.
You think that Seal was trying to mess with Nerve?
No, I don't think Seal was trying to mess with Nerve. I think that somewhere in their prophecy, like that's supposed to happen. So they had to shut everything down in order to fight against this specific angel or something.
What?
Because there's a prophecy, right?
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Right. They know when the...
Yeah, but Gendo has access to that as well.
Right, he does.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Why would Seal have to shut off the power?
I had this... Maybe it's like written. You know, like,
that's something that they had to do?
Right. Or that it's like that's something that will happen. And because they had too many fail safes, they had to manually disable everything.
Huh. Okay. So
harebrained idea, but
okay.
just, you know,
I see what you're saying. Like there was an angel attack foreshadowed, and they had to shut everything down at Nerve in order to let the angel attack happen, and then stop it just in time.
Essentially.
I see. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. I don't agree with that interpretation, but it's interesting.
Just a thought I had. That's all.
I mean, I do think that the show is very, like, all the characters, regardless of their level of knowledge, are interested in repelling the angel attacks. I think the goal, everyone's goal, Gendo's, Seal's, all of humanity, is to keep repelling the angel attacks. The only difference is Gendo and Seal have an end goal. They know when the last angel is coming, and they just have to hold out until that time.
And they have to be able to beat the last angel, which will probably be the most powerful.
Yeah, probably. Oh man, the last angel is gonna weird you out.
Is it gonna be any weirder than?
It's weirder than all the angels we've seen so far.
No, I mean, it was a weirder. I forget what show it was. There was some absolutely crazy, weird space battle. Like
Gurren Lagann?
Yeah, it was during Gurren Lagann. There was some weird space battle or something against this weird enemy.
Yeah, the anti-spiral at the end.
Yeah, I don't.
It's weirder.
Okay, well, cool. I mean,
we've got to go weirder.
I like weird stuff.
All right, moving on. We're out of time, bro.
Elmo.
What?
Enough. Let's move on. Elmo.
Oh, okay. What's the last one?
The last one.
Last tour.
Last tour.
Oh boy. One of the people who listens to the podcast is a big fan of Last Tour.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
Yeah, I actually didn't like either of these episodes very much. I was falling asleep.
There was one part I remember of the false danger in episode 8. It was like we got to go out on this rickety railway. Oh no, it's falling away. I was like, oh, I'm slightly awake now. Oh, and they're back inside. And I'm asleep again.
Dude, the way that the little metal plates fell away so conveniently and so slowly as they drove their super heavy tank,
which literally they would have driven out and off a cliff.
Yeah, it doesn't like that was some bullshit. Excuse my French.
Excuse my Japanese.
Yeah. Gomen nasai.
Gomen.
Yeah. He's not like you from the show. Gomen. Oh boy.
Let's talk about episode
7. I just have the very first note that I have for episode 7 here is the scenes of them walking on pipes are boring and not even visually interesting because they started in a little factory. They spent the whole episode in a factory, right? They were looking for the food processing plant,
right? Which they end up finding.
Yeah, they found it and then they baked some rations.
Yep. Although
that was nice.
The last time I checked, if you combined potato dust,
wasn't
sugar,
wasn't it just flour?
No, it was because they're grinding up potatoes.
Yeah,
so it would be potato dust, sugar,
and
salt, and water. That doesn't rise. That doesn't turn into anything. That's just sludge.
Yeah, there's no yeast in that.
Yeah, it would not bake.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways, I'll give them the liberty of sure it was like potato flour, which I'm sure is probably a real thing.
Yeah. Well, it was dust that they found. They thought it was dust at first, so that made me think it was flour, which would rise. That has yeast in it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know about cooking. No, I don't.
You know how to microwave things.
I sure do. There was also a little bit in this episode, a bit of voice acting where they're kneading the quote unquote dough.
Yeah.
And they're encouraging each other by going like 1, 2, yo sho, heave ho, or whatever. They're making those little noises going back and forth while they're working.
Right.
Their lips weren't moving.
No, I remember that.
All right. That is just lazy. That's just lazy. I'm sure it was like an oversight or whatever. Actually, you know what? Knowing what I know about anime production, they probably were just like, screw it. We got to move on. We got to animate another scene. We got to animate another episode.
Yep. I thought that whole scene, which I timed it, was like 1 minute and 12 seconds or something of them kneading dough.
Yeah, it was long.
I mean, I kind of understand, it's like a team building exercise for
them.
And
it's a tedious process too. It takes a long time.
It's also them working together, and they butt heads a lot.
Right, that's true. But they're cooperating here, so it's different. But it was long. It definitely felt long. Honestly, I wanted to look at my phone. I really try hard when I'm watching TV, like not to I turn my phone off or I put it on silent or whatever.
Yeah, I just put mine face down so I can't see it.
But I just was like reaching for my phone almost. Dude.
I just kind of like start to slant sideways because your chair doesn't have armrests on it. Mine does, so I like lean sideways.
Oh, dude, I still do that. I like turn my chair like this, and I kind of go like this.
He turned his chair sideways and leaned sideways so that his shoulder is on the back part of the chair rather than the side.
Thanks for explaining that so people knew what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I really don't even have anything else to say about episode 7, dude.
There was that. They made super sugary stuff.
Yeah.
They found the giant pipe because
she falls into the pipe.
She falls into the pipe.
And then they go, yeah.
I mean, that's not how metal works.
That's not how any of this works.
What is it? That seems really difficult. Well, they tied the rope between each other.
Yeah.
That way, if you fall, you just jump over the other side. That seems like a lot of work.
If that happened, how would either of them get back up?
You could. If one of them basically like did a little jumping motion and kind of scooched themselves down so the other person got back up, and then the other person can pull them up from there.
I guess, yeah. I guess it would be possible.
It would just be very difficult.
Yeah. Episode 8. That's the one where they go to the... I thought it was a war memorial when they first drove.
Absolutely. It looked like, there's a lot of them around here, around the our nation's capital.
Right.
And they did kind of strike me like that.
Yeah. I mean, especially since they were black and kind of glossy looking. But it turns out that it was just a bunch of like time capsules.
That or a cemetery.
Yeah, she does call it a grave, but people weren't buried there, were they?
Sometimes there are grave sites where you're not buried.
Okay, well, I guess it was a grave then.
Maybe it was, like if you're cremated, you're not buried.
Right.
So, maybe that portion of society. By the way, during this episode, I took a screenshot that I thought was interesting. Okay. The camera has a time and date stamp. It's the year 3230.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not pay attention to that. I'm a bad anime watcher.
Because I checked because she takes multiple pictures and you can see the second hand moving and there's like seconds, minutes, hours.
Wait, second hand? There's like a...
No, it's a number.
Okay, yeah.
But, second indicator, second minute, hour.
So you can see the time and you can see the date is in the year 3000 something.
Yeah, essentially. It's super far into the future. It doesn't look like it's super far into the future. It looks like it's World War I, but...
Yeah, but as we discussed in a previous episode, that's just the inspiration that they're getting for the design of the the weapons, the uniforms, the tank.
From the World Wars.
Yeah, that's just the look they're going for. It doesn't mean anything about the time period of the show.
But I thought that was interesting because it didn't change when they took pictures, so it wasn't like the number they had taken or were remaining. So
right,
I thought it was like a date indicator for them.
Okay, so they go to the war memorial, or no, it's not a war memorial. They're graves. It's a grave site.
Yeah.
And then they put the stuff back to respect the dead, and that was all there was to the episode.
And you found the radio that briefly worked, but they put it back. So I thought something cool could have come out of that, but nothing happened.
It briefly worked?
Yeah, it made a noise.
Oh.
Yeah, and I thought like someone would be like sending out a distress beacon or something.
Dude, I don't think it made a noise.
It definitely made sound.
Okay.
Like
then
because nothing much happened, and I remember that.
Then they go up the spirally thing, and they go out onto the little walkway, and they miraculously get to the other side.
Yeah, because you get dizzy.
What happens again?
They find a house or some beer. They get drunk.
Yes, they get drunk. Wonderful.
When they first found it, I was like, "Oh, those are 40s."
I apologize for the...
As well as that also compounds my theory of date, because on it says 3201. So like another date, like 3201, rather than 3230 in the future.
Okay.
So
does beer stay good for 29 years?
If beer is not exposed to light, the reason beer's in brown bottles is so light can't get to it, because light will completely destroy it. Like it'll cause it to accelerate like its fermentation. Because beer's, fermented.
Yeah.
And light is bad, which is why beer is generally speaking in dark colored or opaque containers.
Okay.
And if it's properly stored or basically away from light and relatively cold, not even cold, it will stay good for hundreds of years.
Okay. Well, good for everyone in the post-apocalypse, I guess. The beer will always be there for you. Beer and cockroaches.
Yep.
They get drunk, and that's nice, and they're friends for a bit. And you like loosens up.
Yeah, and she becomes a normal human.
Well, there's nothing normal about either of them. They look like potatoes.
Oh, blobs.
No problems. Okay, so there was, how they go up the spiral thing?
Mm-hmm.
And
because the elevator was broken?
Yeah. They go up the spiral, and then you I think, is the one who makes some kind of comment about life being a spiral. Life's just like a spiral. Hello? Like, this is a pattern the show has created for itself, where they'll spend 5 minutes discussing like a certain topic or going through a certain process, and then at the end they'll have a little stinger, like one of them will make some kind of philosophical comment about what it is they've just done or seen or whatever. And some episodes have been more successful than others at that. And this one was not successful. Like, they go up a thing that looks like a spiral. Yu says, life is just like a spiral sometimes. What? You can only, there's diminishing returns to this kind of technique. You can't just always be throwing out these like witty, deep one-liners.
These woke one-liners.
Yeah, these deep with like 5 quotation marks around it. It just didn't fly with me at all. And neither of these episodes did. And that's a real shame, because I thought that it got off to an incredibly promising start.
I mean, I rated it pretty high in the first 3 episodes. I thought
you didn't. You ranked it 5th out of 6.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I also said that I still liked it. I just enjoyed everything else more.
Yes, you did.
But that's, I'm a simpleton. I see explosions and blood, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because I'm...
Well, we're about to get to that show with explosions and blood.
Get to the...
All right.
The meat and potatoes.
Final comments on Girls Last Tour?
Next time, more blobs.
What?
More people. Introduce other characters.
Oh, right. You like when there's another human in the mix. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it.
It seems to be every 3 episodes, so I think we're in store for another one.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, let's go. Let's do Hellsing. That's the last one.
Yep.
I apologize to anyone who's listening to this and is like, "What's wrong with these guys? Why do they seem so out of it?" Won't happen again.
Scout's honor.
Yeah. All right, Hellsing. Okay, so we saved the best for last, and by best I mean probably the most contentious.
Or controversial,
yeah.
Which is a fun word to say nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So talk to me. I know you really like this OVA. Talk to me about episode 7 of Hellsing Ultimate.
Okay, so episode 7 is focused entirely on Ceres, the mercenaries, and their fight with Scythe Lady. I'm terrible.
Zoran Blitz.
Zoran Blitz. I'm terrible with names. And the rest of the Nazi vampire SS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it starts out with the mercenaries. They're essentially being destroyed. There's a flashback or 2.
Yep.
They hole up in the conference room, put everything in. One last unit dies.
All right, you're just summarizing. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Did you like the episode?
Yeah, I liked it.
Why?
Just, it had what I like as a decent balance from a show where there's action to satisfy my man cave think brain, and there's character. I don't know if you want to call it development, but there's character backstory introduced. You learn something about a character that's been in 6 episodes and almost nothing about.
You're talking about the captain.
Well, yeah, you learn something about the captain and Ceres.
Okay, you were talking about Ceres mostly, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
But the captain as well. You learn, like his backstory with his grandfather, and it's like you've been 8 generations of mercenaries. It's like you'll end up doing it too. Right. You're being bullied at school because
they say my dad killed people.
That's true, he did.
And so do I.
And I killed even more.
Yeah, what a guy. What a grandfather. And his dad was dead too, so his granddad was like raising him.
Yeah.
One thing that I did like about this episode, just a little gag, was the vampires eating people or like arms or
trying
whatever.
To like figure out what blood type they were.
Yes, and then checking their dog tags.
And being like, hey, I got it.
Yeah. That was pretty amusing. But as amusing as that was, the seriousness and like the brutality of this show is really at odds with that kind of goofy tone that it goes for sometimes. And
I think that's because the show can be so serious and just brutal, like you said, that they almost, or the writer of the manga that it's based on, kind of felt the need to break that just heavy, depressing tone with something a little lighter.
Well, is it depressing though? I feel like the show revels in its level of violence. Don't you think?
I think to some people it'd be depressing. It depends on how you see things like this.
Right. Definitely, your perspective definitely matters a lot when you're watching a show like this. With that said, let's go ahead and get right into the part of this episode that it just rubbed me the wrong way. Like,
I think it probably rubbed almost everyone who watched it the wrong way.
Yeah, it's the flashback because Zoran Blitz has those
mindfuck powers,
right? So she can create illusions, and she can also delve into people's minds in
order to create effective illusions,
right? And see their pasts and stuff. So she goes into Saris's past.
And Saris, the first thing you see like, oh, she's an orphan and she has violent outbursts.
Right.
She's older. She wants to be a policeman. You might not be a good policeman. Your dad was one.
And then you go back even farther. You go to
little babby Saris.
Yeah. Well, let's not be too flippant about this because this was some fucked up shit. She witnesses her
parents both get murdered.
Yeah.
And then,
well, is she in the closet when the actual killing takes place?
Yeah, she hears the gunshots.
Her mom puts her in the closet and says, "Don't come out no matter what." So then her parents both die. She like peeks out. She sees what's going on. She makes too much noise and reveals herself. And they're like, the two murderers are like, let's get out of here, right? Or something like that. I don't know, dude. I kind of want to block it out as much as I can.
Yeah.
But she takes a fork on the ground. She stabs one of them in the eye. And then the guy's response to getting stabbed in the eye is, I'm now going to rape this corpse.
Was that the order?
Yeah. He gets wait. I mean,
no, he rapes the corpse, and then she like runs out and stabs him in the eye.
Okay.
And then she gets shot, and they leave.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I guess that's slightly less twisted. It's the guy isn't doing what he did with a fork in his eye. But okay, so stories are fictional, right? Someone has to create them. Unless they're autobiographical or based on real events or whatever. So what we're watching when we watch this episode and this scene of Hellsing Ultimate is something that someone has dreamed up for the purposes of entertainment.
Or for the purposes of creating a character's backstory.
Yeah, but I don't want to see something that someone has created that looks and feels like this. Like I don't want to watch like necrophilia in action. Like you see the guy thrusting.
Yeah.
And the girl, the thing that really gets to me about it is that she's there. You know? It's just so twisted. And I didn't really feel that needed to happen. Like
it probably didn't. And in fact, it almost certainly didn't. You know, you can have a tragic backstory. Both your parents being killed in front of you is pretty tragic, I'd say. You don't have to add that on top of it.
Yeah, like, man, I was really disappointed seeing that. It's upsetting. And at the same time, though, and this is what I was talking about earlier, like at the start of this podcast, like moral repugnancy versus whether like does that disqualify art as being entertaining or artistic? Like there was a lot to admire about this episode and I think this series, like the way it looks great. I think that this episode was rather well constructed. Like the way that the battle between Saris and Zoran Blitz like escalated, and the fact that she was able to break free of her powers was, I mean, it was kind of silly that like, oh, she drinks the captain's blood, and so now she goes Super Saiyan or whatever. That's twice that I've said that now. That was a little silly, but the episode was well put together. Like, it never dragged. It was well sequenced. So it was good. I mean,
it just had a really sharp downturn in the middle for you.
Well, that's kind of the heart of the matter here. Was it a downturn? Just because I was like really repulsed and upset by it. Was it like bad? Does that make it less of a...
I don't think so. And I was like, wow, they're actually going to do this. You know, that the fact that they did that, you know, kind of shocked me.
Right.
But I'm pretty well steeled to pretty much anything that I can see. Like, it didn't like affect me or like twist me or anything. I was just like, oh, on to the next episode.
But how can you feel like that, dude?
I honestly don't know. I think something might be wrong with me. I lack this level of empathy that other people have.
All right, don't try to make yourself out to be like too special right now. That's not...
Either way, I don't think it detracted from it.
Okay. Well, that's really the question that is at the root of my discomfort. Like, does something like that really detract from the episode as a piece of entertainment or as a piece of art? And it's not something that I can really, comfortably answer. I just know that I was like really disturbed by just the knowledge that that's the story behind this character who we've been watching. And that the author saw fit to write it and present it to us. I didn't want to see it. I regret having seen it. It's disgusting.
I can understand that.
That's my thought. Those are my thoughts.
Those are my final thoughts.
Those are my thoughts on this episode, man. I mean, I think it was a good episode of the show. But really hard for me to get past watching that. And there was, we can stop talking about that now, I guess. There was a bunch of other dumb stuff, like kind of questionable, sketchy stuff in this episode. Like when the captain says, oh, you know how he's been saying about her, oh, she's such a good girl, like she's such a fine woman.
Yeah, I should have kissed her by force, even if I had the chance.
Yeah, what the hell? The sexual politics in this show are kind of messed up. Like, women are obligated to, like, that's what they're there for.
That's their whole point.
They're just supposed to give it up, man.
Well, you said earlier, about anime, how a lot of them, especially when it came to like the live another life genre,
what?
Like it's all about like power fantasies for like young men.
Yeah.
Could have just been written and geared towards that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think there's some truth to that, I guess. But the thing is, when I talk about that like wish fulfillment or whatever, it's a lot of anime is aimed at like high school teenage boys.
Right.
This show, I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of high school age boys who found this show amazing. There's girls with big boobs, with big guns, with like fighting Nazi vampires, but these are like adult characters.
Yeah.
And his way of being like, I don't know, man. It's just silly. Like, even putting aside the moral aspect of him saying, "Oh, I should have kissed her by force," the connection between them or the romance between them just fell totally flat for me. There's no, like, she was completely rejecting him in every episode before this one, and she was like, "You're creeping me out, dude. Ew, gross." And now that he's died this heroic death and, like, died protecting her or whatever, now she's like, "Oh, man, it's too bad he's gone.
Too bad he's gone. Now I love you. Now it's all right.
I'm going to suck your blood and you're going to live on inside me." And
adds to the souls, which kind of, to me, fed into Alucard's power.
Say more about that.
Because Alucard created her.
Yep.
And it's possible that like power seeps from the creator to the created, vampire-wise.
Okay.
And so I remember...
do you think he's going to become a vampire or something?
No. I was talking about Ceres.
Right.
Because Ceres was created by Alucard, and Alucard's like the end-all, be-all of vampires.
Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
And Ceres might have some of that, like, his latent super amazingness
Right.
inside of her.
Yeah, she definitely. I mean, when her arm gets cut off,
It replaces with like a tendril of shadow.
right? Exactly like his kind of thing.
Right. And
Yeah.
then she uses it to fly later.
Yeah, but wasn't there also an allusion to her being special in some way in a previous episode? Like you all don't know how powerful and how dangerous she is. Somebody says that about her.
Alucard, probably.
Oh, yeah, probably. So I guess she must have some amazing potential.
Or maybe Alucard knows that his part of his, like, superpower, essentially, is now dormant or latent within inside her.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I've already spoken enough about how this episode, like made me feel.
Yeah.
What else you got for me?
I just really liked the episode.
Because it was like really violent and really cool.
I guess. I mean, caveman brain.
It was really violent and really cool. Like, it had everything. It had the scene where Ceres is like dragging Zoran's face against the wall.
I thought to myself, I'm like, man, how long is this hallway?
I didn't think about that at all, dude. Yeah, it was just real violent and stuff.
Yep.
This episode really turned me off, man.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about that.
I mean, I'm not as eloquent about speaking.
Dude, I'm not that eloquent, right? Anyone who's listened to this podcast for the last hour and 30 minutes knows that I'm not very eloquent.
I mean, you have more thoughts about this kind of stuff than I do.
I guess.
You can prompt me to say and to actually start thinking about it. But other than that, I don't actively think about what I'm watching. And you more so than I do.
Sure.
Anyway.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this episode was gross. But, I do recognize the technical ability behind it. And also the pretty good storytelling. I just...
Yep.
We don't need to say any more about it.
Yeah.
All right, we gonna rank these shows?
Yeah, let's rank them.
Shit. Usually we have this stuff written down first.
Yeah.
So let's just go spur of the moment.
I'm pretty sure I know my order.
Okay. I do too, but with a caveat.
Okay.
So I'm gonna abstain from ranking anything sixth. I'm not even gonna rank Hellsing.
Okay.
It's the way I feel about the show, like
completely changed because of one episode.
Well, no, I've been just ranking them on an episode by episode basis, not an overall thing.
Oh, okay.
So what I mean is, like,
you just don't want to rank.
There's the ethical objections that I have to what I watched, and then there's the that was a pretty good episode part of my brain.
Right.
So I really can't reconcile those two things at all.
Okay, that's fine.
So I'm not gonna put anything sixth.
All right, I'll put something. I'm gonna rank everything. I'll put something sixth. Whales.
Okay. I would actually rank Last Tour last.
Really?
Yeah. So fifth for me, I guess.
Okay.
So what did you put fifth?
Last Tour.
All right. I would put. I don't know, dude. Whales or Yome. I didn't really like either one this week.
Okay. I was going to put Magus fourth.
Right. So third, I guess that would be the other one between the two currently airing shows for me.
Right.
Whatever. Oh, God, this is so sloppy. All right, what would you put third?
What would I put third?
You've got Ava, Dandy, and Hellsing.
I think I'd probably put Ava third.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So second for you?
Dandy.
All right, I would do Dandy as well.
And I put Hellsing first. Absolutely.
Damn.
Yeah,
I am disappointed.
When we started talking about this, I knew it was like that's gonna come out as you're not going to be a fan of my rankings this week.
It's cool. I mean, it's all subjective, right? And I know like deep down it was a good product, but it's not one that I really wanted to
Gelled
watch.
with.
I guess. No, my objection to it runs a lot deeper than that.
Yeah. No, I understand.
But yeah, I mean, it's fine. I think Ava was despite the clip show, I'm sure that the clip show in episode 14 drags it down a little bit for you,
No, it was mostly caveman think brain. Dandy's second episode, just I was laughing, I was smiling the whole time.
Right.
And Ava was it was a little slow. I mean,
yeah.
I hate, I know you hate when people are like, it was slow, nothing happened. But
a ton happened, dude.
Well, not really.
Episode 13.
I mean, there's a lot of dialogue. You gain a lot of information, but not much happens.
Are you kidding me right now? Nerve almost gets completely taken over by a computer virus.
But it doesn't.
Gendo is when he's, how he always has his mouth behind his hands like this?
Yeah.
Despite him looking like that, he is about ready to flip his shit, dude, because he makes that comment about, like, it's getting too close to Adam. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like, it's the virus is progressing too quickly. It's getting too close to, like, the truth that we're trying to conceal and that the goal that we're working towards. This was the most clear and present threat yet. Even though there are no robots punching each other, This was the most threatening angel yet. A ton happened. We also learned so much.
Caveman brain, like I'm telling you, I'm just.
Oh, brother, you got to get past that. You can't just keep saying that over and over and be like, "LOL."
Caveman brain, caveman brain, caveman brain.
I only like one kind of anime. I mean, you like what you like, but
I mean, it boils into all forms of media for me.
You just like when there's punching?
No, action, explosions. Dialogue is nice, but there needs to be a mixture. Otherwise, my brain is just, I'm stupid. I'm stupid and dumb. That's what you can take away from this.
There you have it, folks. This has been episode 7 of, this has been a very loose episode of Average Nerds and Spec Nas Entertainment. We will be back, hopefully a little more, a
little more structured.
Yeah, a little more on the ball next time. Are we dropping a show? I feel like we should.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just stop watching one.
Okay, what do you want to stop watching?
I don't know.
Either Whales or Last Tour.
Yeah, it's one of those for me as well.
You want to flip a coin?
Sure. Let's do it right now. On camera. I mean, microphone. Here,
sure.
There are coins back there.
Hand me your phone.
No, hand
me your phone.
We have a physical coin right back there.
I know, but we can ask Siri to flip a coin, and she'll say the result.
Fuck Siri. Get a coin.
All right. I'm doing this old school. Can't hear me. All right.
Which one's heads? Last Tour or Whales?
Last Tour, because their heads are gigantic. Last Tour it is.
We're dropping Last Tour. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry. We tried.
After these 2 episodes, I'm not sorry. Honestly, they were really bad. I think the show had a lot of promise, and it had a few really, really great episodes. But I can't apply that descriptor to these 2. So there you have it.
That's it's been nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, and
we're talking at you.
We'll be back next week. Bye.